Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Monday night, the USC commitment sweatshirt. It comes back on as four-star safety Kendarius Reddick flipping his commitment from UCF to USC. You look at Kendarius Reddick. This is one of those players that we're going to talk about what he brings to USC from a physical standpoint, from on a football field standpoint. Where I want to start with Kendarius Reddick is this kid is wired just a little bit differently. I mean, you talk about a nasty, nasty dude on the football field. That's Kendarius Reddick. And why I wanted to emphasize that to kind of start this one off is we kind of said the exact same thing with linebacker Jaden Prelati from Buford, Georgia. When you look at the type of players just from a mental standpoint, a between-the-ears standpoint, Denton Lynn is getting dogs on the defensive side of football, guys that are physical, that are going to talk a little bit of junk on the football field. I'm a fan of it. You look at USC trying to change the culture on the defensive side of the football, getting some of these guys in this defense, guys like Kendarius Reddick, guys like Jaden Prelati. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially going to the Big Ten where you want to add a little bit more physicality, a little bit more attitude, so to speak, to this USC defense. These kids are going to bring that to this USC locker room. You look at Kendarius Reddick as a football player. I love to see these safety prospects come downhill and kind of be involved in the run game. That was something that you kind of just wish you saw more of from USC over the last couple of years, where you look at a guy like Kalen Bullock, who was an elite safety for USC. One of the biggest things we wish we saw a little bit more of from him was coming downhill and being physical in that run game. A guy like Kendarius Reddick, you have zero concerns about what he's going to do in the run game. A guy that wants to get involved in the box, stopping the run. That matters, especially going to the Big Ten where you still want to have these kind of athletes on the field to give you that coverage ability, but you want to be able to hold up against the run. We talk about all these different ways to kind of address maybe some question marks of USC stopping the run in the Big Ten, having safeties like Kendarius Reddick who are extremely comfortable coming downhill and being physical. That matters. And he's only 5'11", 170 right now, not afraid to throw his body around. What I'm most excited for is, what does it look like when he gets up to around 200 pounds, adds a little bit more physicality to his game. This is, a safety that, again, he's a versatile safety that I think you can do a lot of different things with. But I think most importantly, just adding a little bit more attitude and physicality to this defense, I am all about it for this USC program. I'm going to get into the film of Kendarius Reddick, kind of sum up and kind of talk about where USC is going on the recruiting trail. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the USC fans, 10 o'clock Eastern time at night, Monday night. There's nothing I'd rather be doing than breaking down some USC football on the recruiting trail. The amount of support y'all continue to show to the boys, it truly does mean the world. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Kendarius Reddick. And I just want to jump right into the film where I kind of tried to select the plays. And I'll kind of say this, the first couple of minutes of this highlight reel was just Kendarius Reddick being a dog on special teams. I mean, he's a guy that whether it's kick coverage, whether it's returning kicks and punts, this dude's a difference maker on special teams, which I think matters because you look at Kendarius Reddick, if he's not a starting safety as a freshman, this is a kid that's going to contribute on special teams the first couple of years within this USC program. Now, you take a look at Kendarius Reddick as a defensive back. I think the first thing you like is, we talked about how he's going to run the alley and be involved in the run game. Kendarius Reddick can operate as that single high safety. He's got really good instincts in terms of, reading what's in front of him, reading the quarterback's eyes, and then when that football is in the air, and go play the football. A guy that between his sophomore and junior year had over 4 interceptions. You roll the film here, really good feel in terms of what's happening in front of him, reading the quarterback's eyes. When that football is in the air, Kendarius Reddick, he's going to be there making plays. And then you see the juice, a little bit of the long speed on the return. This kid's got some juice, and he has the ability to cover a lot of ground really, really quickly. And you're going to see that in the run support game too. And I think that's my favorite element of Kendarius Reddick, where you look at Kendarius Reddick, and when he comes downhill, he wants to be physical. And that's something that I love. He's 5'11", 170. This is not the biggest football player on the field, but he's going to make plays. He's going to talk a little bit of junk after the play. Again, this type of attitude change within USC, I'm absolutely all for. You continue to roll through the film. I think this play is phenomenal where we talk about where is college football going? I mean, a lot of these offenses are going to try to work every single blade of grass on the football field, get runs out to the perimeter. When you have safeties that not only can work downhill, but have that long speed and range to cover a lot of ground, that matters. And you look at Kendarius Reddick kind of from the backside of this play, I just shot out of a cannon. This is a guy that wants to get involved in the run game. This should be going for 6 every day of the week. Now with Kendarius Reddick on the field, he is, again, just kind of plays with his hair on fire and is going to talk a little bit of junk after every single play, and I absolutely love it. You continue to roll the film. Again, a guy that wants to fire downhill and be physical at the point of attack. He's not that big, but this kid plays so much bigger than the height and weight that he's listed at. I can't wait to see what he plays at when he gets to 200 pounds. Again, that first step, it's always coming downhill, and I love it. The ability to close it. Again, this kid is super fast. You talk about that sideline to sideline speed. Kendarius Reddick has it in absolute bunches. Take a look at him. You can do a lot of different things with Kendarius Reddick. He can play that single high safety look. He can play that box safety look. I think he could play nickelback if he wanted to as well. Coming off the edge right here, ton of juice. The ability to close the distance between himself and the quarterback and then get up, put your hands on the football. Playmaker. Instincts. You see that kind of all over the field where, hey, we want to force a little bit more turnovers for USC and get safeties that are consistently going after the football. Kendarius Reddick playing to the whistle. We're going to go find that football, dislodge it, create a turnover. You absolutely love it. With Kendarius Reddick, this kid plays the game of football the right way. And that's probably where I would start with Kendarius Reddick. We need more of these guys on this USC defense. Perfect. I mean, again, you take a look at just being in your run fits, playing with good leverage. Hey, we know we're outside contain here. We're going to keep our outside shoulder free. We're going to be right where we need to be and then squeeze down, make a play. Not only does he have that physicality, but what might separate him from a guy like Tackett Curtis, that we would say, hey, Tackett Curtis, when we broke down the film, we loved the physicality. We loved how much area he could ground in terms of the physicality and kind of speed that he played with. Tackett Curtis was never in the right spot at the right time. You look at Kendarius Reddick, these type of plays where you know your assignment, you're going to do your assignment, that matters as well. You take a look at this class for USC in 2025, and I think it's time we had the conversation about Julian Lewis where we kind of expect to figure out where Julian Lewis is going to end up in this 2025 class. There's a lot of chatter that people do not expect him to sign with USC in 2025. What I would say is, if USC can just kind of flip the script and go after Hassan Longstreet, I'm all aboard at this point. Look, I'm a fan of Julian Lewis. I'm a fan of Hassan Longstreet. But if I'm Lincoln Riley and USC, I want to make sure I have a quarterback that wants to be at USC. And if Julian Lewis is not going to shut it down and kind of reaffirm his commitment to USC, I mean, Hassan Longstreet is arguably a more talented quarterback. And they're kind of two different quarterback prospects where Julian Lewis has been that five-star quarterback since he's been an 8th grader. Been on everybody's radar. Now, the thing with Julian Lewis is from a physical development standpoint, he's kind of been tapped out since his freshman or sophomore year. You look at Hassan Longstreet, this is a kid that continues to get better. You make no mistake about it. Lincoln Riley is going to win with whatever quarterback that he gets, whether it's Julian Lewis, whether it's Hassan Longstreet. If I'm Lincoln Riley and USC, I'm kind of making Julian Lewis make a decision. Because if you're USC, you want to know if Julian Lewis is locked in with USC or not. Because if he's not, you want to make sure you have time to go pivot and grab a quarterback in this 2025 class. And if Hassan Longstreet is ready to potentially flip his commitment from Texas A&M, I think arguably a physically more gifted quarterback than Julian Lewis, I would do it. Again, you look at Julian Lewis, and he is ultra productive at the high school level. He's in complete command of an offense. There's a lot of things you like about Julian Lewis, but then you look at Hassan Longstreet and say, Hassan Longstreet reminds us of the Baker Mayfields and the Caleb Williamses and the Kyler Murrays in terms of the physical traits he has. We kind of know that Lincoln Riley is going to have success with either of these quarterbacks. I think if I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm saying, well, you kind of want to know what the deal is with these two quarterbacks. That's my personal opinion on the quarterback situation. At the end of the day, I trust Lincoln Riley to get it right at the quarterback spot. So whatever he does, I'm certainly on board. We'll cut it there. Again, late Monday night for the USC fans that are checking the boys out. Can't thank y'all enough. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.